Hey, anybody out there? It's Dr. Chris here, and I am having a super fun time making these ornament diffusers out of air dry clay. So I'm in my art studio, which is incredible. Messy, but that's what happens when you do art. So I think this will be a better setup so that you can see what I'm doing. And everything is here. So I've got a lot of stuff out on my table, but I want to get started. And these were, here it is. These were inspired by the Young Living ornament diffusers that we got for free in our essential rewards and shopping orders. Was it last month? I don't even know now. But I was like, you know what? I want to have you guys do this. These are made out of regular clay. And if I were doing a lot of them, I probably would do it out of regular clay. But a lot of people don't have a kiln. So I decided to do these out of air dry clay, which is a new medium for me. I hadn't used it before. So right off the bat, let's just jump right in because I have a lot to show you. I don't know how long this video is going to be. So I did a lot of research, of course, and I found Creative Paper Clay. It had, people seemed to like it. And number two, it was not smelly. There were other brands out there that people said had a very strong chemical smell. And basically, paper clay is paper and water mixed together in a slurry with some sort of adhesive to hold it together. And it just air dries. And what's really cool is that it will dry within 24 hours if you just leave it, but you can accelerate the drying process. And the ones that I made here, I had put in my diffuser, not my diffuser, oh my God, my dehydrator. Woo! Oils on the brain. On 155 degrees Fahrenheit for about 30 minutes, and they dried really nicely. So you can, if you don't have a dehydrator, you can put it in your oven on a very low heat, but you don't want to like put too much heat on it because they can crack. I haven't had that problem, but that is something that can occur with air dry clay. The other thing is that you have to keep everything wrapped up when you're not using it. If you let it sit out, it's going to start to dry. You can rehydrate it by adding water, but you don't, if you want to work with it, you don't want that to happen, right? The other thing is that I left the back of these diffusers without any decoration on it so that essential oils can be put on. And of course, it's the one thing I didn't bring out to my studio with me, but because I didn't know how it was going to react with a finish. The air dry, the clay itself is porous, but if you put a sealer over it, even paint, and this is actually some gold leaf, imitation gold leaf. But if I would show, this probably would work, or you could put the oils on a tassel if you did seal everything. But because these aren't really going to get a lot of, like, people aren't going to wear them, maybe. And this is where I start going crazy, right? Like, ooh, this might be good clay to make jewelry because it is super light. So that is a thing to consider. So there's that aspect, but don't get these wet again, because if you get them wet, that you don't want to like make an oil mixture and put it in water, because if you get it wet and spray it on these, it can start to break this down. Okay, so like just don't get it wet again. A few things that you will need. So you will need your paper clay, and you will need some cord. So this is a 1 millimeter thick waxed cord, some black cord that I just had I have a lot of stuff already. So, but there's like some things that you're going to have to get. And I ended up purchasing these tassels, which are super nice. And I think, you know, they're like 50 cents each when you buy them. And I like them. I don't know if you guys can see, but they're really finished quite nicely. They're not just strung around and tied. So I'm going to put the link to the Amazon, I think it was Amazon. I got the creative paper clay and these tassels. I got black ones and I got silver ones. So you can get any color you want, but those are the ones that I was kind of working with. And when you're doing something new, kind of keep your color palette very small. So I kept the same design element working with this. I kept a similar color palette because otherwise it gets too crazy. Another thing that you're going to need is a toothpick or something to poke holes in this. So I just took a toothpick. Here's the pointy end, and then I just cut off one end to make it flat. I have other tools that I sometimes use because I do ceramics. So this is a little needle tool. The other thing that will come in handy is something a little bit thicker than your toothpick. So that might be a bamboo skewer. I was using just the bottom part of this paintbrush that I have here. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. Look around your house and see what you have first, because you might be surprised at how many things you have. And I know I can kind of go a little crazy, but you know, that's me. I also have this clay tool that I can poke holes with. So sometimes I'll grab that if I'm looking for something. That's like, and scissors. You're going to need scissors to cut your cord. That's the extent of the things that you absolutely will need. And by the way, this paper clay also comes in terracotta, I believe. I got the white. You can color it with different things, like even regular acrylic paint, but I didn't get into that because I didn't want to start making it so complicated. But probably as I start playing with it, I will. It's been a little bit of a learning curve. This is one, I haven't trimmed the cords yet in the back. Oh, and you'll need some sort of glue adhesive. I just picked this one up. I think I got this at like the dollar store. So nothing crazy. It's just, I liked the tip for this. And what I did was I used it to seal the knots. So when I cut them, they don't come apart. It's sort of optional, but it really isn't. All right, now some helpful things. All right, you're going to need some way to cut for making your designs in the clay. Just look around your house. I ended up using this glass because it was about the size I wanted. And I don't know where I put the paper. I kind of, I think these are about 2.5. Yeah, these are about 2.5 in diameter if you want to like look at that. So look around for some cups. Look around for tops and lids. So this is a lid. I don't know what to. I always keep them. I ended up actually using the Thieves laundry detergent for this part down here. Okay. So that worked out to be, these are about 1.25 inch in the, what is that, diameter? Don't know. Yeah, diameter. So this is one of my earlier tries, just kind of working with it. The clay itself is super easy to work with, but I was just looking at how it was impressing texture and then trying to get the color into the texture, which is a little bit tricky just because with regular clay, I can let it dry on the top and kind of scrape it off. That doesn't work so well with this. So at least I found that early. One of the things I really did think was successful was this texture I put on with some foil. So let me get into that. I had two methods for doing this. One where you can use paint to decorate it or a sealer. The other was, and this was sort of a new learning curve for me as well, I got these imitation silver leaf. This one says gold, but it's really copper. And then gold leaf. And this stuff gets all over the place, so have fun with it. It actually came in a 3-pack, super economical. I think it was like $8, and this stuff will last forever. So you can get these in sheets, which makes it easy if you're covering a larger surface, but because these were so small, and they came all together, I thought, let me just get these. So I'll put the link to that. It's helpful to have some sort of paint. So this white clay dries white, but I didn't really like the white. So this is another version that I tried where I just did some pressing in of some texture, and then I did some coats of white over it. And I'll show you that. And I think that was definitely more successful, but literally I used just dollar store, just whatever. You can use house paint. Any acrylic paint is going to work. So that is super easy and economical. Now, if you want to get a little bit into more of the fancy stuff, even though these were gold leaf done, I did some edging with some gold paint. Same thing with this one. This was another successful one with the silver leaf. And then I edged it with some black and silver paint. So you could, this is just Artist Loft. This is Michael's, super cheap, silver. And then my gold is somewhere. I don't know where my gold went. Oh, here it is. This is another brand called PBO, and I already have these around because I do some painting. But again, you can go see what they have at Michael's, see what they have at your dollar store. If you want to make this super simple, you could just roll out, emboss, and just get some spray paint and spray them. Like you could just do this on the white and just spray it with a metallic or a white or whatever your color scheme that you want to do. This was probably the most involved because I kept layering the silver leaf. I really like the look, but this took me quite a long time because I didn't like the design element here because of that white. I had tried some paint and couldn't scrape it off. I thought I saw something coming in. Why isn't my chat on? Because I thought I saw somebody. Let me just pull this up. What do you do when you're having a moment? Oh, I see. You guys, I just did another YouTube show right before this. What do you do when you're having a moment of stress, anxiety, fear, or whatever? You get in your art studio. That's what you do. No, that's not it. But if you go on my Dr. Christine Anderson chiropractor channel, you can see that there. This one, so I'm going to boil it down, and I think I'm going to show you how to do this because this is using all the leaves together. You don't have to use all the colors, but just showing you what I did for the technique with a layer of the white paint so that I had a nice base underneath. And I might even put more white on that because I don't necessarily like the color of this clay when it dries. So I'm going to show you basically like these two techniques, just plain white or a plain color, whatever you want to do, and adding gold leaf, but with a texture. Because to me, part of the beauty of working with clay is that it takes texture. So you don't have to use texture if you don't want to, but I really like playing with that. So let's just jump right in, and I'm going to do the best I can to keep this short and sweet. You are going to look for textures in your home, and that could be, I think this was from one of the art, or the Share Loom or something, inside that. I am a texture holic. So there's that cardboard. I had some of this bling sitting around. You can use from thread, those tubes. You can take cardboard and cut shapes out of it. You can use string. I've got this sort of like beaded plastic. I've got some plastic texture sheets that I just have. You can go out to your yard, and these are some bay leaves. Just make sure you wash them, because if they're dirty and you put them on your clay, it will not work so well. You can use some cheesecloth. You can use lace. I don't have any here. Just items like, here's this, this is from a supplement, and it can make little circles. You can grab stamps. Here's one with a star. One of my favorite textures are the bags from, you know, whatever, lemons, limes, that type of thing. This was a silicone placemat, but it's got sort of that honeycomb texture to it. What else do I have? You can use, plastic. You know, this, I don't know what this was, but it has a circular texture on it. I haven't used this yet. Maybe I'll use this one. So if I see a texture, I will grab it. Sandpaper has a texture. There's this, what is this? Board seam tape, right? I love it. It actually is great because it sticks. So it gives that checkerboard pattern. Remember, we have a small surface, so you don't want to have too big of a pattern. And I have one of my ceramic textures that I really love. And this has a small enough texture that I did use this. I don't know if you can see that. I did use this on this, the gold one here, this one here. I'm going to show you how to put that together. If you have stamps, so this little stamps that say joy, that type of thing. Now, you don't also have your surface. I should talk about that. All you need really is some wax paper or parchment paper or plastic wrap so that the clay doesn't stick to your surface. I also, I'm using an old Teflon sheet for my dehydrator. So let me show you that. That's why you can see all the grid marks. And I have it on a ceramic tile. If you go to Home Depot, see how it's a corner, like kind of cut here? I think I got this for $1. So I've just taped the Teflon down here, but you could tape your wax paper or whatever onto your table or a placemat or something like that. But I like the tile because it gives me a very flat surface. Not necessary, but I have it. You're also not necessarily going to need it, but if you can find things that are the same height, this helps to keep your clay level. So it doesn't have dips in it or one end is higher than the other. So again, just kind of look around. This is my one size, and then this is the next size down, which when working with textures, these are just dowels I got at the dollar store, wooden dowels. And they were just about the height I wanted. You can use, for rolling out, you can use a rolling pin, just what you have in your kitchen. I have this little one for little projects that I use here. You can also use just a piece of PVC pipe, which I know I have some around somewhere, but I don't know where it is. And that's about it. I mean, you don't need to go out and buy this stuff. Just sort of look around and see what you've got. And paintbrushes are nice if you're doing some of the painting. All right, let's get comfy here. I am going to take some clay out, and I'm going to try to keep organized so I don't have too many things all over the place. Good luck with that, right? All right. So I'm going to angle down because you don't need to see my face. So hopefully you can see this. You only want to take out enough to make 2 ornaments. And I pre-cleaned my area here with my thieves cleaner and have rags around. I also have a cup of clear water, and I'll have a cup of water to rinse out any color. All right, so I'm going to take out a very exact amount, probably going to mean a little bit more than that. So yeah, let's start with that. And then I'm going to close this up, stick it in the bag, get it a little bit tight. And in this other bag, I've got clay from my other project. I don't want to miss you. Okay. So just squeeze it and get it into a nice ball. And I kind of pre-flatten it a little bit. And I also look to see, I'm like, okay, I want to have it about that far apart. So I'm just going to roll this out and see how these boards are going to stop me from rolling it too far out. Now, that's almost right. So what I can do now is I can get this set where I put my dowels, because these are a little bit lower, and then I can put my texture on. So what did I want to do? Oh, I said I wanted to try that plastic thing. So there's a couple of ways that you can do this. I'm going to actually cut this so that I have a couple of smaller pieces. I like to layer texture, so I'm just going to put that on there. And I don't know where that piece just went. Whoops, it's got a little bubble in it. So this is sort of, you know, the creative process of whatever, and you can take yarn and put it around. I'm going to use some of this bling here and layer that in there. Nothing is very planned out with me, and it just really is, this is part of the creative process. The nice thing about it is if you roll out a section and you really hate it, then you can just redo it. Bubble wrap. Bubble wrap is great for creating texture. One of my favorites. I can layer that on there. And let's put that there. I'm trying to cover up as much as I can. I don't want to have too many sort of plain areas just sitting out there. But what I can also do is, I'm going to put one more bubble wrap over here. What I can also do is put something all the way behind it, and that's where your cheesecloth is great, or this green mesh. I can just lay over it, and voila, I can roll it out. There's like a bump there. All right, so let's see what we got. So I'm going to pull up all my texture, and these guys. There we go. Oh, and I got these. You can always use your, see, I knew I was going to lose that. Oh, there's the toothpick. You can always use your toothpick also to sort of lift these up too. So, I don't know. Can you see that? It's hard to see. I'll try and hold it up when I'm get to the part of actually when I choose this. All right, so this is a little bit small, so I need to roll this out a teeny bit. I'm just going to go in one direction. It's going to take some of the texture out. Don't worry, we can always put more in. That's what I love about working with clay. So I can just easily put a little bit more texture in there. Once it's rolled out too, you can add texture. Oh, so close. So you can see how you have a little wiggle room in here. And this is the beauty of clay. Okay, that's just about it. So I want to just use this, this pattern. I'm going to go super light just because I'm trying to cover a large area and just for time's sake. And I see if there's a couple of areas that they didn't take, I can always take pieces and press it in. Clay is super forgiving. And if I don't like it at all, I can simply take it up, ball it up, and start again. So I think that we're going to go with this. So I'm going to take my glass and make sure that it's all the way around, push straight down, and then give it a little twist. And there we go. Now I think I have enough over here to make one. Nope, not quite. Okay. So I'm going to pull that up and I am just going to smush that together and we'll re-roll it. So I'm going to let that sit a second, and I actually really like this. I'm going to cut this in half. Oh, I use old credit cards or rebate cards. These make great clay knives. And I can kind of see where do I want to, I think that's going to be good, right about there. What I did was cut a half circle so I can see approximately where my center is, and that's going to be just about there. I'm not a really big measurer, so if you like things precise, go for it. But I'm just going to go straight down, then I angle one way, then the other, just to separate them. And there we go. Now we've got the two halves of that half circle. All right. So I'm going to let that sit there for a second because it will harden a little bit. And I will just go back to my clay here. And I basically am going to try to keep, I think, a little bit of this pattern. So what's the problem when you have a piece already on there? All right, let's do this. Let's do that. Roll that out. Let's get that out of the way. All right, I'm going to get you out, put the dowels here, and then I'm going to put this on first, roll it out. I'm hoping I get 2 small circles out of there. And then I'm just going to do a light roll since I kind of did that with this. And then stick that over, just a really light roll. And I think that's going to be it. Maybe a few of these guys, just to even that out. So this is sort of pushed down a little bit on the sides. I don't want to go down there. And I can kind of see maybe patterns I want. So there's 1. There's 2. And then I just pull the clay away. And I'm just going to fix that up. I did a little overlap on there. Okay, cool. So we've got our 2 circles, and I'm going to take this clay And I am going to do the part that's going to sit on top. Now I'm going to do it a little bit differently than this. I did a little roll for that, but it was a little bit futzy. So we're going to do more of a cutout like this. So I'm going to take this little bit of clay and I am going to, so it's, you know, it's already starting to get a little bit dry. I'm going to get these guys out of here because they're in my way. So there we go. Let's do that. And I am going to actually just use the thicker of these. I don't quite have enough clay. Darn, darn, darn. Okay, I've got to add to that because I am going to use a circle. I can't remember what I use now. What did I use for that? See, look, here's the art moisturizer or serum. Actually, that fits on it. Is that the size I used? I think that was the inner one. Maybe that was the outer one. Okay, so I need to have this a little bit thicker. And I need it to be thick because I'm going to poke a hole in it. So I'll get a little bit more paper clay. Almost. And put you back over there. Let's roll these together. All right. So let's roll this out. And I hope that's going to work for the size. Perfect. So we're going to use this top. And oh my goodness. All right. Stick this back in. Never want to leave the clay just sitting out. Always put it into something. So this is my sort of transitory bag. Stick it in there while we make this. And then I'm going to take this other, actually, I wonder if I should do, that's right. Let me put the texture in there first. Let me put the texture. So let's put that in light. Let's put this on. Let's put some of these in here. So I'm just trying to mirror what I have. I'm going to reconfigure this as it spread it out a bit. There we go. All right, now I'm going to cut this in half to make that top part. So cutting it in half, angling. I'm going to get this out of the way. And I'm going to use this top just on, I guess I should make sure you guys can see. I'm going to use this top just on the inside here to cut out a little slice. Watch out about trying to pick it up too soon because it's really, really soft, which is really nice, but at the same time, you want to let that set up a second. All right, and then let me cut this guy out, just a little teeny slice. And then I can shore those up. Okay, you put that away, and then the only other thing I have to make is the little bead on top. Now, you can use your own like pre-bought beads. This might actually work. Or I take a little bit of clay, just roll it out a little bit. And probably a little bit wider than you would for like the end of a pencil. And get my rebate card. I'm going to shore these up a bit. And I'm just going to cut these into, I mean, what is that? Like 5/8 of an inch, something like that. So it's just a little cylinder, okay? And I'm going to do 3 of these, even though we have 2. And there's a reason, because I ran into a little bit of problem with the hole being wide enough. So this is just a little extra. And this guy is probably too long, so I'm going to chop him off. We don't want that big of a bead. So just a little cylinder. And that way we've got some options. So, all right, all the spare clay goes back in here. And we are done with the rolling of the clay part out. So now it's time to decorate. And I'm just wondering if I can get you even closer here for this. Wow. Oh, I'm going to roll these guys, these little guys here. I just want to roll them. I don't know if I can get the imprint on this mat. So let me roll them on the little plastic. There we go. I just want to give them a little bit of a texture. Here's a bigger sheet. Let's do this one. There we go. Little texture. Just a little something. Okay. And I want to do this before I put the hole in, because afterwards it's, if you try to roll these after the hole gets super huge. All right. Cool. Let's put those aside. And now we're going to start making our holes. So you're going to use your, you see what I mean? I don't know now. Oh, you're going to use your toothpick, and you are just going to, I'm going to start with the beads because they dry really quickly. Let's see if I can get this closer. Just stick it through there, stick it all the way in. And then you're going to need something a little wider. So like I said, you could get a bamboo skewer. I'm just going to use this, the end of this paintbrush, and just roll that through. That's it. And then I can just make sure it's kept its shape as much as it can. And then I go back through the other end because it kind of pushes some of the clay through. So you've got a nice wide hole for this one because the cord is going to go through twice. If you don't do this, it's not going to work. All right, so I'm going to do this for the other ones. And here we go. So that's, ooh, I really was off base on that one. Wow, look at where I put the hole is way off base. So I'm going to come back in here, and that's just going to get bigger with putting this through here. You guys with me so far? Is everybody with me? Say hi. Say hi if you're out there, so I don't feel all alone in my art studio playing with my clay. All right. Last one. Here we go. So let's go back through with the paintbrush. So I know this seems long, but I've done all the troubleshooting for you guys. I have to tell you, it took me a little bit of time to figure this stuff out. So I'm going to start working with these discs because they're already starting to firm up. All right, so I want to make sure I get the holes in there before they do. And I just want to, first I want to look and just see where I want them to go. So I'm just going to turn them this way and sort of take them and put them where how I might want them. Oh, and if you nick it with your finger, just rub it out. So I think I kind of like that. And I think I kind of like that. Okay. So this way I can know that I want the holes here. So you want to make 2 holes in there in the bottom pieces. And I'm just eyeballing. So I'm going to put one there with my toothpick, and I'm going to put another there. And I'm going to put one here and one here. So I don't know, what is that? About a 1/4 inch up from the top. Okay, you can see that. But I want to make them better because look, on the back, there's like nothing there. So I can come in from the back. Just push that toothpick through and do it again on the other piece, on the bottom part. And then it makes a little flap on the front. That's not pretty. So I push that down and then just bring it through the last time towards the back. So I want to try to end at the back so my front part looks pretty. And then on the back part, I can smooth it if I want. I can also take the toothpick and angle it. I've got it against my finger. I can angle it back here so that it narrows it down. But again, it's still really soft here, so don't futz with it too much right now. You just want to get those holes in there and move on. I can even do it this way on the mat. All right, so let's do the second one. Bring it from the front to the back. I can just angle this in the front a little bit just to make it look nice and even. I can smooth it out. And then on the back, just want to make sure that these holes are open. Anytime you do anything, when you mess with the clay, you have the potential for closing those holes up. So, all right, so that's that. The next thing I'm going to do is move on to these half circles. So you can you see the paper clay fibers there? Okay. So I want to take my clear water and just dab my finger in it. You don't want it super wet, just a little bit. And I can just smooth all those rough edges down. That's it. Super simple, not too wet. You don't want it mushy. And that's all you need to do. We're going to be putting the hole through this part in here. All right. So I get it lined up. First of all, I want to see who's going to go with who. And yes, I think they have names. You can kind of see how this is going to look, right? All right, so I kind of get it there and go, all right, I want this in the center. That looks good. And I stick it on there like a little hors d'oeuvre and then push it through to the bottom. So it's skewered. Now, this one really, again, has to be big because there's going to be two strands going through there. So then now I'm going to use my paintbrush. And this is why this has to be a little bit on the thick side when you're rolling it out. Otherwise, if it's too thin, it won't work. I'm not going to go all the way through. This guy is actually getting a little bit of buildup on there, so I'm going to take that off. And then I'm going to come from the bottom, just make sure that looks nice. And again, I can use a little bit of water if I need to smooth out some edges. This looks pretty good because we just did it. And then I just want to make sure that this hole is big enough. This caused me a little bit of problem. So I know now I've got to make that large enough. All right, same thing here. Come through, get that in the center, skewer it. While it's on the skewer, I could firm these up and shape them a little bit. I don't go, too crazy because we want them to look nice, but it is handmade and handcrafted, and there's beauty in that. There's soul in that. So I don't like to get too crazy with making it so smooth that it looks like a machine cut it out. All right, that's a little wet. So I'm gonna just dry my fingers off for a sec and come back here and stick my paintbrush through. You can use your skewer or whatever you're using. And there we go. So now we've got to just get the holes into the big piece here. And I've got my cutout here, so I can approximate where that halfway point is, get my 2 points in. Amazing. And there we go. And I don't need to use the toothbrush, the paintbrush. Woo! There's not even any fumes in here. All right, let me just make these a little bit wider and nicer. And there we go. I'm just trying to get these pieces so that they look, a little bit nice in the back. And then we've got those rough paper edges. So I'm going to take a little water, just smooth them down. And just handling this fairly gently. You don't want to put too much pressure because it will take in any impression. If you're squeezing it, it will find its way into the clay. And the clay has memory. It will remember that rough handling. I'm just doing this one too. And beautiful, looking good. And just getting these holes a little bit better. We're almost ready to start decorating. And I won't finish all the decorating. I'll just kind of show you, the process behind it. And then I'll show you how to put these together, because I know this can be a bit of a long process. Not horrible, but and you can do so many things when you're finishing these off. You can bling it, you can embellish it. The good thing about, because it's clay and we don't have to fire it, is you can put in here some little plastic gems. If I wanted to, I could put something like that on there. I could embed it, or I could glue it on, and I could do that before or after we dry it. If we were working with regular clay, we could not do that. So that's another beautiful part. I'm just going to smooth this down a little bit. It was looking a little ragged. Nope, I got this a little wet, so I'm just going to dry it off, because that water will seep right in there. So we don't want it soaking wet. Okay, we've got all our pieces and components. Now let's just prep it. So, oh, this guy's a little ragged too. Hang on. It pays to just take a moment I was using some sort of like really cool thready type of thing, but it had so many fibers to it, and I see it, one even got stuck onto the clay here. From, I don't even know from where. Who knows where that came in? All right. So the first method I'm going to show you is just paint. So I'm just going to take my paint and a paintbrush, and I'm going to use a little bit of a small brush because I want to try and get into the grooves. So I just squeeze it out, a very, very light touch, and ooh, I really like that. I kind of like this white on white sort of look. And you'll see what I do in a second. Now see, I just kind of got a little paint in that hole. So if you do, then I will show you what to do to get it out. So super light touch. I don't want a lot on there. It's gonna absorb in a little bit. I'll do the sides in a second. And I just wanna take my toothpick and make sure that hole is open. All right, do this little guy down here. So I can still see the texture on here, which I really, really like. I don't want to lose that texture. This just helps to create a little bit of shadow. And let's do this. Let's do the beads too. Or at least one. Oh, hello. So that's an awful lot of paint. I can just, also I like the mats because I can just put it on there. But you can do it with the wax paper, the plastic wrap. Just put it on there. It's gonna come right off. At least on this it will. And wax paper you're gonna throw out, so who cares, right? Okay. So there's the front done. I'm just gonna let that dry a little bit of a second before I do anything else to it. So you can see that, right? Just simple. Now I'm gonna get out the fun stuff. Oh my gosh. So I think I'm just gonna do the gold on this one, just to make life a little bit simpler. Look at all that in there. This is crazy. So I just take a little bit out because, first of all, don't have a fan on or like wind or it will go everywhere. And some of these pieces, they get really clumped up. So I like to kind of spread it apart so that you can pick those up without it being, this is actually, that went pretty well. Okay, so although this will stick to the clay because this is already starting to dry, I actually want to put some paint on here. And by the way, don't leave your paintbrush with paint sitting out because it will dry on there. So I'm gonna actually start with the edges, and I'm just gonna put a little bit of paint on, and you know what? I'm gonna put a little bit of paint around the edge too, just in case I have a piece of foil that goes over the edge. All right. Don't like to leave that sitting out, so I'm gonna stick it in there. I'm gonna take another paintbrush. Now you don't have to have a paintbrush, you can have your finger. I just find it a little easier to maneuver this way. So I'm just sort of placing the foil on there, okay? I'm gonna get a little closer on the next one. And just place it and then kind of See, like this is 2 pieces. Isn't that crazy? Ah. And just start to tap it down. Actually, it's already starting to see how it kind of tears. That's okay. I'm all right with that. And I can even put that little piece over here. I'm not trying to fill in the whole thing on this one. This one is going to be a little bit more spotty. I'm going to get more paint on my mat here so I don't have to worry about it in there. Okay. So a little bit of paint so I want to stay in one area and I don't want this paint to dry too much. So I'm just sort of doing half at a time. And I want to overlap it in some places. So I like to do the sides as well. All right, that's good. Let me just get rid of that. Okay. Picking up a piece of foil and placing it very specifically, right? And I'm just going to leave that there until it dries a little bit. I'm not going to dab too much into it. So there's another piece of foil, just placing. So this is literally what you will be doing. Now, you could cover the whole thing like I did with that silver one. And who knows, maybe I'll go crazy on this. I'm already starting to overlap. But don't rub it too much. The key is just to dab. And I do want to finish where I put the paint because it is white paint. If you want to go over this again, you would have to use something like a clear medium. So there's these acrylic mediums that you can get that are clear. So if I wanted to let it sit and dry and I wanted to put more on there, I would have to use something like that or the white's going to get over all of my foil. Well, this is looking like I'm going to overlap it quite a bit. Okay. It is what it is. This is how I never know what's going to happen. So I'm going to leave it at that because I want this to set up a little bit and I'll show you what I do to kind of burnish it if I can get it to dry a little bit. So I would do this all over the front, all over the sides, on all the pieces. And you can do this while it's dry, so it doesn't matter. Now that we have our holes in, it's fine. But I did just want to show you that process so that you understand how easy this is, right? Now for the white part here, some of this is already starting to dry. You can do a couple of things. Where's my bag? There it is. This is just a bag from Apples. I try to reuse when possible. You can tap this onto it and pull off some of the paint. This has the effect of making it a little bit have more depth to it. Okay. So I'm just pulling off a little bit more paint. And again, as this firms up and I can handle it, I can paint all the way around the sides. I'm pretty happy with that. That is pretty cool. This little guy here, he doesn't have much texture on him. So I could come back and try to put a little bit on, but it's tricky because I don't want to smush this thing. Oh, I think it's going to be just what it is. So it's going to, look something like that. Okay. All right. So let's move on. I hate to waste this paint. So hang on a second. Let me just do these sides super quick. So you can see, I'm just picking it up. It's a little bit wet on the front, so I'm trying not to touch it too much. It doesn't have to be perfect. And if I wanted even, I could leave this white on the front, which I do want to do, and I can even put some more white paint in specific areas if I wanted to, just to highlight it even more. You don't have to, but I could put some foil around, just around the edge. Maybe I will do that. Let me put some white paint on the edges here. And I can do that later when I take this, when it's dry, and use that acrylic medium if I really wanted to. So that's the beauty. I don't have to make that decision right now, but this is the fun of playing with it. And the other option is for edging, and I haven't tried this yet, but I could use some of this bling, right? And put it around the edge just like this and glue it in place. So that's an option too. All right. Wow, it's been an hour. An hour flies when you are doing art. At least it does for me. Let me fix this. Just tidy that up a bit. So after I finish just using this white up, I'm going to show you how I string it together. Actually, I'm going to show you a little bit of finishing detail that I liked. I'm going to put another coat of white on this. Okay. So that's another coat of white. There we go. All right, that's good enough. Get my fingers. All right. Don't really want to move these guys, but I'm going to. So what you can do is take some wax paper and you can transfer them on to the wax paper. Let's just say you want to get going on some other ones and you're not done with the decoration. So you can just transfer there. Let me do this one. And then I will show you how to put these together. If you're baking them in the oven, you don't want to use wax paper. You want to use parchment paper. So just be careful with that. All right, let me get this one out of the way, and then I'm going to clean the space up. But you get the idea of how to do that. And actually, I want to move this to here. I'm going to work with that. To clean up any odds and ends with the foil, I've got some clay going in here that I've already been cleaning up with. And it looks like the gold might have some copper in it because the clay started turning green in some spots. I was like, what is that? But, you know, this is just a little way to pick up that foil, and eventually it'll all be in there and I'll have clay with the foil embedded. All right, just making sure that is wrapped up tight, and I'm putting it inside another bag. So I think that one bag is going to make, what's that, 2, 4, 6, 8. It's probably going to make 10 to 12, just so you know. All right, let me get my Thieves spray out. Just wash this down. And then I'll have a clear surface. And as a matter of fact, I might get a piece of paper out so I've got a dry surface too. All right, you guys still with me? All right, here we go. So I am going to string together. Oh, I still have to cook those. What did I want to put together? Ah, right. I got so much stuff over here. I forgot I had these guys over here. I wanted to show you a little finishing for these. What happened to that piece? Did I show? Here it is. So this is where, like, these are some silver beads I have. You could always use beads up here if you wanted to, if you didn't want to make these fancy pieces. You could just put a bow up at the top instead of putting these fancy pieces. So many options. So let me put this guy together because I had to make another thing for him, and it's not completely dry yet. So these had been in my dehydrator, but they're still a little bit wet. I wanted to show you though, let me show you a little bit of the finishing that I did. This is the same thing. So this now looks like this. I don't know if the light on this. Put the light on you. That's better. So this is what this used to look like. See how it's sort of edged here? I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay. So hopefully we've got, I might even take it up a bit. So what I did was I used this gold paint from PBO. It's called Iridescent Precious Gold. I'm probably going to be sitting up here a little bit. All right, so I want to use a dry brush. And did I use the brush I wanted? I like certain brushes for certain things. I think I did. So I like to use just a really small brush, and I'm going to put just a little bit of this gold on the plate here. And then you want it pretty dry, so you don't want a lot of paint on. I just keep rubbing it on there. And what I do is I just take the edge of the brush and just rub it on the corner here. And it just gives a little bit of an edge, and then you can do the same thing on the very bottom part. So it doesn't overwhelm it, but it just sort of frames it. So I really like that. So you can do it as much as you want or as little as you want. There's that edge. And then you can also come in and just make sure that this has enough light. It's always about the light. And you can even skim very lightly over the top, again, just to give it a little dimension. So this is already having some gold on it. We don't want to overwhelm it. Just giving another tone of the gold will pick up some of the detail in that the pattern. So I'm just trying to skim over the top where the pattern is. Probably should have had the light behind me. Let's see. There we go. Ah, that's so much better. Now you can see it. Maybe I'll move the light over. I need a professional setup system here. Okay, I think that's better that you can see it. All right, so I just wanted to show you a little bit about that. And so that's what I'm going to do. The same thing on this one is just do that edging. Well, let me use this paint up and do it here so you can see. So I use a small brush so I have control, and I don't want to get a lot of paint on the edge, but it does give the piece a nice frame. I just knew it needed something. I wasn't happy with just that finished edge. And sometimes I'll use black, but it just seemed a little too harsh for this. So again, just go down the outer edge too. Really quick. And then if I want, well, actually there was a piece of gold that kind of got taken off right there. So I'll probably go back and just glue that on, but I can just do a really, really light brush of this Oro gold on here, just to give a little bit more dimension. And you know, all these steps are optional. Like I said, you don't even have to do any texture, or you can just keep it white and keep it simple. And that is fine. I'm just, I get a little crazy when I get into my art studio. All right, let's get this strung up. So I've got my cord and I've got my tassel. So I'm gonna do, I've done a silver one with the silver, so maybe I'll do a silver one with the black. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know. What do you guys think? Anybody? I still kind of like the silver. I think I'm gonna go with the silver. Tell me if you think I should go with the black. So these already have a loop on them. So all I have to do is not lose it, is cut the loop. And then just make sure I'm set up here properly. And then I have to put it through the bottom hole. Oh yeah, yay. I love when that works. All right, so I'm gonna tie this in the back. And I'm just gonna make one tie and stop. As I look for my adhesive and just make sure that's sitting really nicely. And I like to pull it up as well. Now, what do I do with my adhesive? Ah, there you are. This is the key part so that our knots don't come untied. Is I just put a little dab of glue right where the knot is. Okay, so one dab right there, you see that? A little dab will do ya. And then I'm going to tie another knot over that glue so it will get both knots. So here I go. I'm just tying it right over that little glob of glue. That's it. And then leave it. Wait till it dries, like a good long time. Don't trim it too soon. Right, so now we have our tassel. Woohoo! So now I'm going to take my black cord and I'm going to cut, you don't have to have it that long, a couple of inches. I'm going to stick it through the top part of my tassel here. Just okay. And then I'm going to stick this through the bottom part of the top piece. Turn it over. Tie it once. I like to try and bring the knot up to the top piece. Put a little dab. So not a lot, just a small dab. And then I'm going to make sure I get that glue and pull it tight. All right, so now we've got the two clay pieces and the tassel. All right, now comes the fun part on the top. So this I measured is probably about, what's that, 12 inches? 13 inches. Cut a piece off. And we've got to put both ends through the hole of this bead. So hopefully this will fit, because this was before I figured out I had to make that hole big enough. Yay! Don't pull it all the way through though, okay? We're gonna have a loop up here. And now both of these ends have to go through this, this wormy piece, which I made easier by flattening it. So pardon me while I, oh yeah, it went through, great. So now we wanna make sure we have a big enough loop and we still have some cord at the end. So both, one piece of this cord is gonna go through the front here, okay? So I'm gonna take that, just put it through, turn it over, and now I'm gonna tie this part to here. So I like to try and make these as even as possible. And then I'm gonna push these down a little bit more here. So they're almost at the end. And your loop size will vary. You can decide how big you want that. But I, again, want to make sure that I am gluing this knot. You know, it's these little extra touches because you don't want the thing to fall apart on whomever you're giving it to. And tie that. Tie that tighter. All right. Let me just make sure I want that on that side. Okay. So this is what we have so far. And we want to put a knot in the top. So this is a cue from if you're doing beading work and you're knotting, to be able to get that knot to go down. So I just took the loop, put it around, and I'm going to thread the loop through the hole. All right, so we've got this big knot up here, but we want the knot down by the beads. So I just want to make sure that's in there. So you can take your toothpick, stick it in there, and push, make sure you push the knot down. And then you can open this up and get it as close to the bead as possible. And there we have it. We have the complete diffuser made. And when this is dry, when the glue is dry, turn that over, then you can just snip off the excess edges of your ribbon here. Now, I just did this one not too long ago, but it should be okay. I think this glue should be dried. Okay, so we're just gonna snip. Super close. These are not the right scissors. All right, I'm gonna get better scissors later. Anyway, you guys get the idea, right? These were my white ones that are not done yet, and I might play around with these. You can see the texture on there, which is really cool. I've got a little bit of a blank space here, so I might go ahead and put some letters on there. I like joy, so, well, let's just go ahead and do it. I don't know if I want to use black. Yeah, I think I will, if I can find it. I don't know where my black went. Where did that go? Oh, here it is. Here it is. So these again are from Michaels, and I'm just going to use the Mars black. And I can just put a little on my Teflon mat. I can put let's do the J first. Put my J in here, get some paint on it. Sometimes it's easier just to paint it on because unlike ink, it sort of mushes and spreads. And then I can just put my J right here. And because it still is not completely dry and hard, it kind of impressed a little. So this is good. This is the kind of stuff I love, where you experiment. With paint, make sure you wash off your stamp right away because it will harden and dry on it. So now I'm going to do the O. And it's going to go this way. Try to get it right where I want. And press. This actually works better to do it when it's not so wet. You guys, thank you so much for helping. Whoever's out there. Whoever has survived now an hour and 22. I appreciate you hanging in there. But hopefully you will make some of these creations, and I want to see them. All right, and there we have it. That is cool. So this, how simple was that? Put some texture in, put some layers of white paint, and put a little stamp in the center that says joy. Beautiful. I'm happy with that. That's it. All right. Well, thank you for hanging in there with me. And like I said, let me know what you've done. I want to see it and just have fun, right? This is what this is about, just being creative. And then what you would do is just put a drop or two of essential oil on the back here, maybe rub it in. And, you know, don't worry if it discolors it. So what? I think it's better putting it on the clay and having that patina of the oil on there and all that energy, that good energy on there. All right, everybody. Have a great holiday, whatever you're celebrating. These are amazing for everything. I mean, seriously, these are great to hang, put a positive message on there and have hanging in your window or at your computer station or in your car, and have that good energy going. All right, see you next week. I don't know yet what I'm doing, but you know it's going to be fun. Something for the holidays. What is today? Today is the 8th, so I think we have a few weeks left. And that will be it for the year. All right, have a great week. I'll see you next Tuesday.